Douglas John Hall and others have been pointing for years to this trajectory of decline. Americans are slowly becoming less demonstrably Christian, and in recent decades, the challenge to Christianity in American society does not come mainly from other world religions or new religious movements so much as from a generalized pulling back from most all organized religions. The significant rise in the number of persons listing none, that's N-O-N-E, not N-U-N, on religious preference surveys is but one marker of our new times. Hall uses the term disestablished to remind that Constantine is dead, though there remains a largely unconscious clinging to the vestiges of Christendom and Christendom era when the church and the empire were tightly interrelated. Those who look at facts know that mainline churches are increasingly losing a clearly defined role and sense of identity in the larger social fabric. I don't know about you, but I, for one, like to be associated with a success story. And it simply doesn't feel good to be pushed to the edges of our society as churches and as spiritual movements, including Via de Cristo. Stay with me as I seek to explore with you attempts better to understand our contextual realities. This is clearly a time for two things. One, we do well to study more deeply and constructively what is happening in the macro environment around us. And two, we need desperately what God promised: power from on high to keep us hopefully persevering. This is certainly not a time for anxious blaming of others or collapsing in desperation, nor is it a time for bailing out. Rather, let someone like Sarah Young, in her recent devotional, specifically for June 13th, give needed perspective and direction for our undertaking. Those of you acquainted with Sarah Young's writing design know that she writes as if Jesus were addressing each one of us and all of us. And note allusions to our theme, streams of living water for our journey, in this imagery of hers. Jesus is speaking. I'm creating something new in you, a bubbling spring of joy that spills over into others' lives. Do not mistake this joy for your own or take credit for it in any way. Instead, watch in delight as my Spirit flows through you to bless others. Let yourself become a reservoir of the Spirit's fruit. Your part is to live close to me, open to all that I am doing in you. Don't try to control the streaming of my Spirit through you. A beautiful line. Just keep focusing on me as we walk through this day together. Enjoy my presence, which permeates you with love, joy, and peace. Now you say, Pastor Al, with all due respect, please hurry to get off this spiritual kick you're on. We need some concrete, practical things for us to do to turn our situation around. We don't need additional reminders that deterioration is all about and that things need to change, and yes, that God hasn't forsaken us. That's all fine and good, but what we need and are looking for are some specific helps in identifying what there is left for us to do. Surely you know that we've tried some of the things offered by what's called attractional evangelism, new approaches that we thought would better market VDC in our locale. We've even entertained ideas about those who declare that we need to do VDC differently. They say that the problem isn't just our dated message, but the very form in which we give our message. And they say as well that we must find a way not only to share Christ, as we so often like to say, but to embody the relevancy of the gospel to the questions people today are asking. We just don't know how to proceed with unpacking all that into a useful and hopeful strategy forward. I don't know how I can say persuasively enough that I share in the anguish and dilemma characterized by that kind of an appeal for help. This, as Ed said, is my 50th anniversary of ordination. I've logged considerable mileage in ministry, geographically as well, in all 50 states, in over 35 foreign countries. Overall, I've seen quite good results, but yes, also sadly deficient results. Frankly, I thought ministry would be getting easier as I gained more experience and wised up a bit. It's tough out there and getting progressively more so. The great South African missionary David Bosch reminds us that we are called to a, quote, pioneer task which will be more demanding and less romantic than at any previous time in the life of the church. Be braced for that. And search though I have in much reading and scouting about, in countless workshops and seminars, I have yet to find anything that looks and behaves like a magic silver bullet. I realize that a significant value in a gathering such as this is simply to be named and numbered among the still trying. Here we share together, perhaps at times cry a bit together, sorrowfully acknowledge that our seed sowing seems more often to produce in the region of 30-fold rather than 60, 90, or 100-fold. We may even be tempted at times to complain about the seed in our sowing packs. And worse, frankly suspect on occasion that the sower ain't always so hot either. And that's a real ouch. Within the past month, I've been to 2 events, one of them a week long, that focused on the younger generations conspicuously underpopulated in our churches, even as in our movement. I have found researchers like David Kinnaman and Gabe Lyons in their work entitled Unchristian: What a New Generation Thinks About Christianity and Why It Matters. They offer an analysis about what youthful outsiders think of evangelical Christianity. I'm quoting here. They see Christians as hypocritical, anti-gay, sheltered and out of touch, too political, judgmental, and ultimately only worried about getting more converts in order to survive. End of quotation. Part of me isn't happy traveling miles and paying good money to get that kind of a slap in the face. But I suspect we may need any number of such jolts to rock us out of our complacency and rigid insistence that we are doing about all we can with messages and tactics we still believe in. Now, there are those who may wish to make the case that Via de Cristo, while experiencing its own growth hiccups, is doing comparatively better than are many, if not most, of our churches. That is to say that some people apparently find more authentic community and deep spiritual experiences in Via de Cristo than in many churches. If in fact that is the case, let us thank God that we are engaged with that sort of renewal movement and pray that it might progressively infiltrate the churches that we persist in calling our spiritual homes. But Dr. Peterson, in her book already referenced, wants us to go deeper. While acknowledging that mainline churches are facing an ecclesial crisis,